There we go. Get you kind of squared away. Oh, it's automatically recording. Good, good. Get some edits in here. Oh no! I would say good evening. Welcome to my religious slash dev stream. Where we kind of just chill out, have fun, discuss things about religion and everything else. While, of course, you get to see me in dear agony while coding. So, let's get to it. So, if I remember correctly, most commands have to be given a response body. And that response body, in this case with my original bot code, is written in an object. Part of that value from that object is carried over from my response. I almost want to throw... And could I actually do it? No, I want class. First, embed. Color is x0 ff0. Description? Hello world. Let's see what embed looks like. Oh, I'd set the property of embed to... What? So I had to actually... Okay. So it's going to have to be self-invoked. Okay. Because it wouldn't be a true object if it isn't. Makes a lot of sense now. So here I have a function that returns an object for embed. And I can't really do that with you, because you expect something. This interaction embed is part of a dependency. Huh. Oh, I'm sorry for the flashbang. I am so sorry about that. Let's carry you over here real quick. Sign log in. Google. Plug. Plug. We'll be hearing some funny noises today. There we go. Let's pop you back up here. Now, the reason why I had ChatGPT pulled up is really cool. Oh, that's okay. So, this is mainly just a chill out religious stream, so you can ask me any questions or talk to me about religious stuff. It's an open forum. I've also pulled up ChatGPT to kind of help me guide in some aspects. This is like my second stream, so I don't expect to be perfect. So if you want to toss me something, feel free to toss me something. Ask me a hard question. I'm under the motto and belief of treat others the way you want to be treated. If anything falls outside of that, I feel it is not religious of me to do. Sacrilege? I don't have the right word for it. Because if you follow the whole treat others the way you want to be treated, the second great of the great commandments. First one is loving God with your mind, body, soul, spirit. That would be the first one. So, I always like to exercise, test my faith, and see how it goes. So, yeah. It's also nice to meet you, Lear Gamma. Tell me a little bit about yourself too, while you're at it. I probably need to move my chat box a little bit. It's in the way. Oh no, what am I doing? There we go. There we go. Now I gotcha. Get tossed to my left side. There we go. That's good. Actually, I could have you right back here. Sometimes I would ask myself questions because I'm very principled with the golden rule. I don't want to ever treat anybody with disrespect. If I feel like that's coming out of me and I treat somebody with disrespect, I will call myself out on it. I did that, I believe, when I had that Terraria stream. That, I think it was a Terraria. No, it was a Terraria religious. It was just a Terraria event. And someone was just basically trying to play the game for me, as it were, by telling me, build this, build that, build everything else. In myself, I felt the boiling anger, just like, just please let me play the game. I know I'm way too early to do any of that, but I kind of snapped, and it's not fair to the viewer. At the same time, I'm under the belief of treat others want to be treated, so I corrected myself. It's like, look, I should not have snapped. I should have done a lot better. I should have reacted a lot better, I would say, and make my point clear without feeling like I am angry deep down inside. Like, anger management, I guess you would say, but I'm not really the kind of person that gets angry very often. So I pulled up Job because I've heard stories about he basically suffered a lot, and I want to tie in the whole God's golden rule, basically treating others the way you'll be treated. Because I want to understand the characters that it was written with that mindset. So he is basically depicted as a righteous man who lives by the golden rule. He cares for the needy, shows kindness to strangers, and maintains his integrity in all his dealings. His actions reflect the principle of treating others with the same respect and compassion as he wants unto himself. Well, I would say so, because I treat customers the way I want to be treated. I mean, every job serves a purpose. Even if we are even if we don't feel like that's where we should be with God, sometimes we are placed there for a reason. It may not be to that job specifically, but it depends on how we treat others. In this case, I got a guy, I think last couple of days, he brought in a very, very old and very pristine motor. I could not fix his electrical system because it's way too old. I've expressed it kind of clearly with him. It's like, I applaud you, sir, on how well that boat is kept up. I know the electrical system is way too old. Like, I could just said, yeah, be gone, just, we ain't gonna touch it. But deep down inside, I want to show this man compassion, because he felt like he inherited it from his grandfather, and his grandfather didn't teach him much. So I sat with him. Actually, this probably would be a good example to use for the whole, the golden rule treatment. So I was with the man, the customer, and he was trying to start the boat up, and he asked me, like, there might be something in something at the carburetors that's acting up. It's like, does this have a choke? So yeah, it's right here. It's set on automatic. So the old style motors had 3 settings: automatic, off, and on for the choke. Automatic has it like somewhere halfway. It's not really automatic, because it just basically flooded during his idling of that motor, and that's why he was experiencing all kinds of issues. So I showed him how it works. Like, here are the 3 settings. You have the off, you have an on, and you have an automatic. Whenever you put it on or automatic, you're trying to give the motor more gas. And whenever you give it more gas, you gotta make sure you will let loose off of it, otherwise you're gonna flood it. And that's mainly why you're having that issue. He also had an issue with his belt, which I'm glad that we can get that rectified. Because I told him, like, your main problem as well with your electrical system is that your belt is incorrect. So let's go with paint, because it feels like I could better demonstrate this. Oh goodness, I am sorry for the flashbang, by the way. So this man has a belt. Not perfectly drawn, I know. And he has a bottom belt. This is for the flywheel. Well, most people use dark mode for a lot of things, and going from dark to light tends to burn the eyes of a lot of people. And then where's my cursor? Aha! Belt. The bottom is a little bit more inaccurate, so what I'm going to do is erase this. I'm not really good with paint, but in a while I probably would be. Say this man has a belt. Here we have a flywheel. It has even teeth. About as even can get. Not drawn to scale, I promise. The problem is, this man's belt is really long on one of these teeth, then two, the teeth are about the same, and then a long teeth again. Oh, so you definitely want to burn your eyeballs out. Gotcha. Okay. So the problem is, you see how this big teeth is just riding on here? It's not really wanting to set down. That belt was vibrating a lot. And I emphasized that with the customer. It's like part of your idling could just be, well, the belt are not correct. So I told him to order a part, which with shipping is about $70. This part would be an exact match to the flywheel and the generator that he has to fire up the electrical system. So instead of just sliding around and kind of giving it a rough ignition pattern, this would help him out. And then I told him that on the flywheel, not on the flywheel, on the carburetor, because if you imagine a carburetor, it has a jet. It has a float bowl, etc. In that float bowl, we have a needle. Inside the main jet is a screw. For this purpose, we're just going to draw a screw right here and point to this little shaft. There is a screw called the what was it? Air to fuel ratio screw. That has to be played with, because inside that screw is a needle end that allows air to come in and fill in that gap, to kind of siphon out the gas from the idle jet. That's what it is. Idle. And then this is the main. Anyway, it functions in two ways. He has a choke valve right here. And after there is a regular valve that is your throttle. And that is choke. The problem was he had the choke like this, not this, in running condition. When you have it like this, you're telling the siphon to just pour as much gasoline as he has. So I helped him out by simply telling him how that works. And now he can have it running on idle. And it was kind of poor. So I showed him how to adjust the choke timing. Which it has like a little tiny lever. You gotta screw in so far before it can actually get the proper air-fuel ratio. And then it ran good on the hose. Like, okay, cool. Now we dunk it in the lake. You see how it runs in the lake. Because in the motor, this is the outboard, so it pees water. And then this is the drive shaft. It has the little tiny prop. In here, the exhaust goes through here. If enough water pressure's on the exhaust, it acts a little differently on the motor, causing it to have a little bit more stress. And whenever I have it on forward on that trailer, trying to drive it forward, I'm putting a whole lot of pressure where that exhaust valve, the exhaust gases cannot escape so easily. This is what we call a stress test. And when we have that, the motor has sufficient amount of pressure from all the exhaust gas pushing against the water pressure. some people in the industry will call this back pressure. And this is water. So he had an issue where, sure, it'll sound good on the hose, and the hose would be like right here, feeding it water. And of course, this bees water. So it sounds good because it doesn't have that water pressure that's pushing back against the exhaust valve, the exhaust gas. So we dunk it in a lake. Then I told him, we're going to adjust this. We're going to adjust your idle set screw so you can have enough gas for your idling, so it can run on idle without it dying. And that's all it is. I could just say, to hell with this man and this motor because I don't know anything about it, but I took my time. I took my time to explain it to him because I want this done in my I wanted to be treated in my way too. And that goes back to the belief of the golden rule. Many people who come here to get their boats fixed don't know how any of this works. Sometimes it's nice to sit down with them, show them how it works, and make them feel good about they're more confident now in running that motor versus just bringing it in and having it fixed and calling it a day. Most marine centers will not care. They won't. They would just sit down, just get it repaired, and just get it out the door. I take my time. I want to make sure my job is done correctly the first time. They don't get irritated. And we have the principle of, my grandfather exercised this a lot. If we know that this bill is going to be expensive, we just say, pause, we're not going to do anything. We're going to let you know what it's going to be like before we even order the parts. Because we want you guys to be upset with us currently than having to spend another $2,000 on rebuilding the electrical kit and then y'all be angrier with us. We want to give that customer an option. We want to make sure that customer understands where we're coming from. Again, treating others the way you want to be treated is my motto. In this case, with you talking about boxes earlier, Lear, it may not be just a box, but how well you care for said box. Some people like to have their boxes delivered in pristine condition. It takes a little bit of care. Because, you know, deep down inside, you want it kind of delivered to you in that condition. You don't want to just bang around and the plates of china that you wished you have ordered didn't come in pieces. So, people take kindly... most people take kindly note of that detail. And that's why you get a whole lot of people coming back wanting more. This is another example with McDonald's. I was the grill master. I operated the grill and I operated the oil vats. Of course, I put the chicken nuggets in the chicken oil and fish in the fish vat and call it a day. Now I want to make sure, like, when we're in peak, I slap as many of those patties into a thing as much as possible, because I knew we were going to get slammed. And then, of course, when we're, idling by, I only make so many patties. Because I want to be flexible enough to where people who assemble the burgers have enough patties that they can have without me feeling rushed. Exactly. And it takes, it just goes to show that you want to make sure you're doing your job correctly. And that's part of the whole treating others the way I'll be treated too. So you're taking your time to make sure everything's organized so you don't want to default to the next person and have a terrible handoff. Oh, yeah, definitely not. I mean, if we control how other people be, we would be very much in an enslaved state. Not like we already are right now. But, regardless of the case, we want to make sure each hand that touches that box is well delivered. And it shows by a step of kindness. And you having that hand in that is part of that chain. Because no one can kind of go back and default to you say, yeah, but this box is treated like crap because Lear basically kicked it down 30 flights of stairs. Versus, like, Lear has an awesome hand on these boxes. The labels are on, like, the perfect amount. Like, we cannot blame the guy at all for doing his job correctly. So, if we take our time to treat what we want to be treated back, it just shows how well we as Christians can understand how we should handle our lives. Oh, going back to the McDonald's thing. Like I said, I was grill master, I was the oil vat person. And I was in charge of the tea. Most people, I kid you not, would just let the tea just brew up and don't put like the bag of sugar until just pour it in and don't really mix it. No, not me. Not me. I would sit there for 5 minutes. I would slowly pour the sugar and I stir it at the same time. Because I know how it feels whenever I dump somebody else's tea and they'd be like 2 inches of caked sugar at the bottom that was not well mixed. I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather be the one that kind of, makes the tea taste great. Because I know sometimes it tastes like horse pee. So I sit there for about a good couple of minutes, and lo and behold, I've got kind remarks from people out in the not sales floor, lobby. Yeah, there we go. I had people coming out from the lobby and saying, "Yeah, this guy actually cooks up some really nice." There we go. This is a little better. So we have a lot of people coming back saying, "Yeah, this guy actually knows what he was doing. He actually mixed the sugar with the tea properly." Yeah. I mean, not many people take their time to get the tea done correctly. And I sure as heck, if I ever want to drink tea, and at the time, I never wanted to drink tea, because I just knew it tastes awful. Tea is awful. Everything was awful. I'm sorry to upset my UK friends, but tea is awful. Until I have changed my mind. One day, after treating my own, after mixing my tea, it's like, okay, I'm gonna taste what I have made. And lo and behold, it was delicious. It's like, oh, so this is what it feels like to do something right for once. It's like, it's kind of hard for me to accept compliments. It just feels like it's just secondhand. It's like, that's thanks. I appreciate the compliment. It doesn't really much to me much currently, but thank you. Until I actually taste my own work. And ever since then, I knew those compliments were genuine. So anytime I hear a compliment, I'd break down on the inside, knowing that kindness had basically spread. And all that work paid off. Yeah, it certainly does it, but it helps. Just an extra bit of kindness into what you do makes the journey much more worthwhile. Right now I'm in a factory position too. It's like, it may not be the best place I can be in, but I know I'm placed there for a reason. Right now it's what's paying my mortgage, my credit card credit card debt payments, whatever you want to call it, and everything else that needs to be paid. Right now, it's not the best economy. Yeah. Sometimes an extra bit of care and tender care to what you do goes a long way. But right now, I live about 30 minutes away from the factory, 15 minutes away from the boat dock. I just wish I had more time in the world. Like, I wish I had 5 me's running around and doing everything I can to spruce up the place. I do know that part of the city is making things a little bit difficult, but city has their own council members and everything else, so I can't be really upset. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, so I can't really do anything about that. All I could do is comfort my grandmother, make sure she's at least happy enough to do stuff on her own. Right now, she's on a wheelchair. She was a polio survivor. Actually, there's another thing about my family you don't know about. My grandmother was a polio survivor. People who basically have brittle bones and could have easily died from such fragile bones. Her story was she grew up with 8 of her siblings, and she was the last one in the family. The doctor said all she's gonna ever sit down and do is watch Captain Mouse for the rest of her life, because she would not be able to do anything. Her father got so angry, and he decided, we're not gonna have this. Hey, sons and daughters, we're gonna strap this grandma on a donkey or a horse and just walk her around 30 minutes a day and let her arms flap around. It may be cruel, it might be weird, but it paid off. If he did not care, I would not be here. My mom would not be here. But that extra bit of defiance, defying the odds, while taking care of a life, pays off. So, after a while, my grandmother started walking around in crutches. Her and my grandfather met, and yeah. It's a very weird unorthodoxy practice. It's like, sometimes, whenever you don't think straight, sometimes you just act out of a whim, and sometimes it actually works. But that's just a slim chance. And that slim chance kind of just works itself. There you go. Now I have a coding background. So, in a matter of speaking, my family defied a lot of odds to get here. My grandfather, for example, he did not want to be put on the front lines because he had a heart murmur. He knew his brother was a National Guard, and he wanted to be National Guard. Out of circumstances, it happened. My grandfather was in a National Guard, build rockets for people in Arizona. He was part of the few people that had a whole lot of silos there with a bunch of rockets, and he was a rocket maintainer. Then he started leading marine repairs. And that's how I learned all these boat stuff, is through my grandfather. He defied the odds of basically getting put on the front lines and not exist. But God has a way of putting people where there are, no matter what kinds of circumstances people are in. That's why I kind of view things in a more pragmatic perspective. I may meet some of the most awful people on the planet, or it might be some of the most kind-hearted people on the planet that I just could not accept kindness. And it's a matter of testing. After a while, you kind of get good at understanding people a little bit better. That's where I am at today. I want to be a YouTuber that practices the principles of the golden rule. I want to make sure you guys are treated fairly, because it will also make me feel better about myself. It will make me feel better that I'm treating y'all with kind love and care. If I act out of line, I will absolutely count myself accountable. I will make sure I will apologize first. I would basically put myself on a cross on that day. But there's just a lot of things that happen. And there are some people I just wish they can change their mind, but sometimes people make their own mind. And I just have to understand that. And it happens. So I guess it's turning into like a weird TED talk about the golden rule today. But honestly, it's one of the best talks I could ever give. So if you ever feel like you're in like a McDonald's job and you absolutely hate that manager's guts, just know that your patience is tested, because sooner or later it will be used you will be using that later, or taking that extra time to take a whisk to the tea bucket and pour in the sugar slowly, because you know you want that tea to taste good, versus just leaving the 2 inches of cake of sugar down there that's poorly mixed. When we live our lives where we try to carry ourselves better, not a holier than thou art, but actually feel like we want to take care of others, that's when we Christians strive to be shine better. That's why I don't really just go out of my way to argue with people on the internet unless I just happen to be the first incident. And even then, I choose my battles carefully. I don't make it out of my way to absolutely try to go after somebody. That's not my goal. My goal is to be defensive. My goal is to be more understanding. I would have to sit back a lot of times because I'm autistic. And I could have just easily given that up. Like, it's so easy to default being autistic and just call it a day. It is a Jonesy! Another Christian bestie. How you doing, buddy? Good luck. And have fun with your studies. Tell if people know about me, tell them I said hi. If not, I wish you the best. Safe travels. God bless. Autist unite. Next thing you know, I'd be screaming possum. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Jonesy. See ya, Lear. And I was just telling a little bit of people about the whole golden rule a little bit, Jonesy. I'm actually glad you're here, too. Because you're also an instrumental part of my life as well. Like you, Kana, and a few others. Definitely. And no, I don't think I'm gonna pick up the aisle anytime soon. Yes, because I don't really meet a whole lot of Christian gamers, and that makes a big impact for me. It's like, look, I can relate to other people, and actually be part of the group, and that's how it is. Like, if I have any questions, I just default to you or a few other people if I could ever get to it. I really need to trim up this beer, though. It's getting in my way of mouth tracking. But yeah. Aside from that, yeah, the golden rule is my pragmatic and dogmatic view of life. And this is why I judge myself critically when it comes to treating others. Yes. Take pride in that. Here's a bit of a confession. I was not a good Christian. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like you. And this is why you are an instrumental part. Because you are a perfect example of what I want to be. I don't judge people. I will judge somebody if they, start trying to rob somebody or do an act of harm. I will judge you so hard. And I will also judge myself critically if I do something awful. But as far as like judging on the walks of life, you have your walk, I have mine. We may walk in the same sidewalk, We may be walking on the opposite side of the sidewalks on the same side of the street. But at the same time, people choose their life because of the way they choose to believe it. Yeah. For example, I've met Kana a while back. We used to be with each other. We're currently seen as best friends. And she's about the same belief as you are, Jonesy. Just like, I could easily have a conversation. I don't have to worry about judgments or anything. We would poke fun at each other. But that's part of the fun. We poke fun and we have a good time about it. Not, try to bash on people's religions or anything of the sort. It's just open and honest discussions. Canavision? She changed her name? What? No. It is Kana. She has her name changed now. Starts with the letter M. I also have a best friend too that's nearby. Her name was Mariah. Mariah, back in the day, I took her out to prom. I tried to see her, but I was awful at relationships. And it wasn't the best. But she and I grew close as best friends better than some people trying to force it into a relationship. And sometimes relationships don't need to have to happen. All you need is just a best friend. And that's how I started to view things nowadays. Yeah, exactly. Just that extra bit of kindness goes a long way. And you're part of that now, Josie. You're part of what made me become a VTuber, even though you didn't really realize I was gonna try to VTube, but you were part of it. You kind of helped me with that leg up, and you're now given the round of applause and a thanks from me. Because there's no real way of paying back other than just giving you guys a bit of kindness on my end. This is why I also, it's kind of hard for me to ask about Patreon support or any money giving, because that just feels like I'm robbing you guys. Especially when I'm not big. I'm not a big VTuber. I know plenty of people who above me that have at least 10 times my numbers. And even then, they don't really ask a lot. They'll probably go for like a throne or an Amazon list or something like that. I may do like an Amazon wish list, like, hey, if you guys really want to help me out, feel free to get me like a monster or something. Something that's more tangible than, just taking the comfort of your money and not really using it. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. But the kindness is what got me here. It just goes... Yes. In much the same way I subscribe back. I can't take all the credit. So, while we're on the topic of the whole religious... Oh, you did? Thanks! I had to look down on my list, and yes, you did. You're awesome. Thank you, buddy. So yeah, that's all mainly what I want to bring into the table with my religious stream / dev stream. Because I still kind of want to program, and... Oh, it's Arun Kaiser! It's Arun Kaiser, how you doing, buddy? It's a religious stream Sunday, so I was trying to go over about the practicalities of what's called the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Thank you, Josie. And I was trying to give my testimonies about my family, as well as myself, about how I treat others the way I wanted to be treated religiously. Pun intended. And try to call myself out on the Terraria stream where I knew I could have done better. Because anytime I feel like a stir of anger on the inside, I don't like it. It's disgusting. Anytime I feel angry, I feel wrong. And most of the time, I just kind of walk away. I just don't want to participate in that. And sometimes I'm human. I let that get ahead of me. But a better response would have been just sitting back, taking your time to understand the situation, and then go with it. It's part of why, like, whenever I try to do this whole class nonsense, I just kind of left stream because it's just awful. It was an awful challenge. I did not realize how bad it could have been. But you learn. You learn through your mistakes, and you learn how to be better at it. This is why I view myself not as just as a cursed JavaScript developer, but hopefully the best JavaScript developer there will ever be. I may not rival, the Primogen or Theo or Fireship or anybody that's up on top. They deserve that right. They deserve that right because they've studied so many languages. I've only just got JavaScript. I'm only laser focused about how abstract I can make it to the point my head would explode. Yeah, nothing much, Kaiser. How about you? Doing alright? Okay, I think I have an idea of what I want to do here. So I gotta convert my shorthand into a class. Catch is still going to have to be a function. That's also what I kind of need to know is how I want to treat that. And that's why I was trying to experiment earlier. For each, we'll return a callback function. And then we're just going to have to return a new class each. And then this each equals each. Oh, I gotta put this in the constructor. Right. Each. There we go. Most definitely doing some data center work during this heat wave. Oh gosh, I hope you're not in like one of those supercomputers that's just blasting you with heat. I'm doing alright. I'm doing a little bit of a religious streaming and taking my time to reflect where I'm at currently and how I could do you guys better. Also, providing as much cursed content as possible. That's a really good goal, and that's the same kind of attitude I wish to convey too, Jonesy. It's just to be an inspiration, not the cause of a problem. If I ever find myself to be a cause of a problem, I just outright leave. I don't want to be that part of that attention, you know? So main is going to have a function that's going to do a console log. This each. This is going to accept the I parameter with the main function. Haha! Got it! Now, I feel like I could simplify this. Oh, good luck, Jonesy. Have fun. Stay safe. Now I wonder. Object is not a function. But if I return you as a constructor, you should be able to accept parameters, do you not? Aha. So it still has to return a function. So anonymously pushing a function on a constructor is not a good idea. Okay. So I can't work with that. But that I can. It just overcomplicates things a little bit. Okay. Yeah, God didn't give me the ability to think outside the box without giving me a reason for it. I'm not sure why I'm a defiant little turd, but I am. I just wish that I could be better. So in this case, we got a function now. It's going to take an argument. If this interaction applied. I'm going to say reply holder. It's going to be an empty string. This reply holder is going to equal follow-up. If this interaction deferred, this will be reply holder edit reply. And then I'm going to do if this interaction, no, reply holder. I need reply holder. It's undefined, I'm just going to return it. Then I could do And then inside here, I want to create a bot embed. This interaction. Oh no. I have a feeling I probably need to organize my code a little bit sometimes. It can get a little messy. New this command. There we go. I'm not going to worry about this currently, so I just mute that. So that's how I convert that over. Error is just gonna sit there. It's not gonna do much of anything. Cool. Classified index requires stack index. Resolve file name at new init. Yes. New required to live dependencies. I almost want to just start over. Not gonna lie. And anytime I do, it complicates things. Because how they did it earlier, I had to revamp the entire code to make it simple. Because they made a lot of redundancy from deploy commands and the index. So I just thrown everything at the index file and called it a day. Yeah, tell me a bit about yourselves. I kind of want to get to know you guys. Oh, so it takes a function. Constructor interaction is this interaction. There we go. Now I got that correctly. Embeds going to have this interaction. Oh, yeah, so it does eat into it. Okay, that's weird. I can see why most developers like to not have so much indent in their codes. It can make this look like a headache. Okay. Okay. I get this now. So let's go back to Discord 14 real quick. Yeah. Hold for now. 1, 2, 3. Oh. And then collapse all. There we go. Let's just not do that real quick. I do know that I have to use 2 folders. I need to create events. I need to create a... No, I don't need to create a folder. No. There we go. Commands. And what they're utilized as. It could be admin commands. It could be a player command. I also need the index file. No, no, no. Let's go back. There we go. And press this. No. Okay. File ready.js. And then interaction create. And then for our player file, we're going to have a ping.js. Then on the main file, we are going to have a JS file. No! No, we're not doing that today. Just... I should have just made a new file. There we go. Index. There we go. Now I got it. So, let's start over. I could borrow this. For the time being, we are going to copy this. We are going to go for events on ready. So module exports. We're going to create a class called ready. In that ready class, we're going to take its input as a constructor. Ha! Oh, okay, it kind of knows I want to play with Discord. Cool. We're not going to call it run, though. We're going to call it main, because we wanted to make it feel like C. We're going to feel like C sharp. Oh, did my music stop? Okay. Oh, feel free to choose any station. If you've got a request, I'll pop it up. I got the pretzel rock, so I'm trying to go for instrumental only, so feel free to slap me up something. There we go. Module. Exports. It's like you know what I wanted, did you? Right, so this builds up a good basic interaction response. It may not be the best, we'll doctor it up in a bit. So what we want to do is new class init. We want to define methods to use for this file by importing from a dependency. That's what I need to do. I need to make a folder. Library. And we're going to add a dependencies. Module exports. Class dependencies. Constructor. I'm going to say interaction. This interaction equals interaction. Cool. We want to use Discord.js, file manager, everybody. So we're going to say file systems. I don't know if I want events as... What would it serve me? So we need to create a command player file, and that ping is going to be it. Module exports. Class ping takes the constructor of interaction. Ah! I swear I'm gonna get good. Then we're going to have a main function there. Aha! Instead, we're going to create a class. New class reply. That reply is going to be self-invoked. No, we don't need this interaction. So content is going to have an equal sign to Pong. This is going to be gone. There we go. And ephemeral will not be there because it's going to be defaulted. Color is 0x. There we go. Cool. Cool beans. So I kind of need to blow this up from... Oh, I have an idea. I have an idea. Follow me on this. I remember having to create a code for class inherit keys. Constructor... input class, and we are going to just violate this with a for loop. Let key an input class. This key is going to have the same key as input class key. There we go. Much better. Yes. So we want to create a class called init. Because that's what we need to initialize everybody. FS. I need to test something. So class inherit keys does something. Class. Because we're just basically stealing the keys off of a class or just inherently putting it in. So we want this, no, for const I, const key of class, in class. This key is equal to class key. Now what I want to know is if I create a class called init, so new class init. And I want to say object is equal to new inherit keys. And that one's going to have a key of high. And it would be a object. So it does. So I don't need to make a class wrapper if I have inherit keys. New inherit keys. require FS. Beautiful. Which, yeah, this is gonna sound redundant, so... So for right now, you're gonna be what I need you to be currently. Wait, has that as a collection? Gateway intents. And then we're going to steal a token. Acquire. Config of config JSON. Token. Actually, we're just going to call this config. Yeah. I wouldn't be here today if God didn't give me this ability to try to solve everything by just typing and hashing out brain dead. Also, kids, make sure you stay hydrated. I know I'm not. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Sports. What you got? Energy drinks. They're great. Night creatures know what's best to keep them awake all night. Alright, so we need token. Haha. This has to be this Discord. Does client exist anywhere else? No, it doesn't. Okay. That's why you are a Discord client. This Discord client. I think I'm going to allow objects this time. And then I just build on top of that. So we're going to copy you. be up here. There we go. Let's say we're going to have all the dependencies first. Unpacking. Keep that kind of clean. And we're going to have a constructor. So anytime we need to make a yeah, there we go. It knows what I want. So delete that. We are going to throw that into unpacking. The unpacking is going to be folders path. So folders path is equal to path join. Yay! Command folder is equal to this folder path. Yay! So we have a class of init. Init is going to stay. Now, what I want to do is see if that needs to be useful. If I should bring the actually, let's just steal from their repository. See if I'm thinking this correctly. Because I want to get the inspiration where they're coming from, because some of the answers that I have is not correct. Because I need to know where they need to store that rest. Your token goes here. That interaction reply is going to be global since it is a common. Alright, yeah, here we go. Let's explain this real quick. See. See how interaction reply is the absolute same in ping, server, and user. They stay the same. That could be globalized. And that's what I tried to do earlier. I couldn't figure out how or why or what I need to do that. So I gotta figure out how I should keep this simple just enough that I can basically use that later on. I don't know. I'm starting to think backwards now. I should not be thinking about backwards. Let's just copy my file over. And try to convert my cursed simple code into something I can use. Oh. Thank you, Drink, for falling onto my cord. It's fine, it's empty anywhere. So copy this. We're going to make an index index file. We're not searching, we are creating. So we need to start dissecting this. We're going to use our own code. If I understand correctly, we have an events folder. Rename. Commands. Got a library. And I had a batch file, which is very interesting, by the way. So we're going to copy this and throw it into dependencies. And instead, what we're going to do, we're going to call this a class. We'll leave objects the way they are. No, we're not. I had to debate myself. Alright, so we are going to create a class. New class dependencies. FS is going to require FS. Path is going to require path. Discord.js is going to require itself. Oh, I need to create a constructor. That's right, right. Let's go back up here and put this up here. Constructor. Ha 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 ha. Okay. I got it. So I would not need to make it a new class because it depends on that constructor. So embeds is going to have require embeds with a this interaction. So I need a modules file next. This is all the shortcode that I had to use to circumvent through this project. We are going to need a JSON editor. We are not going to use the loop because we're allowed to use for loops now. Back in our day when we had this challenge earlier, we had to circumvent that with our own recursive functions. So now that we have for loops and while loops, we're not going to use this anymore. What I am going to need is these. Dependencies is a global. So I gotta treat that with respect. So modules is going to require modules with this interaction. Yes. Dependency is going to have an embeds. Library is also going to have a new file, and that's called modules.js. Cool. Module exports. Class modules, there we go. Take constructor interaction. There we go. Now it knows what I'm doing. Yay! Now, what we need from interaction is the file system. Yes. Oh, how is it played? Okay. Let's just paste my JSON editor down here so we can kind of play with that later. Right now, I want to copy you. And I need you as my template. So you go down here respectfully. So I want to say read as a function because I want to do this. Interaction equals fs equals read file sync. This exists is equal to interaction exists sync. Yes. Then I want to do this right is equal to interaction right file sync. Okay. So I got it from the dependencies file without having to call the dependencies file. That's amazing. Now what I want to do is invoke this. So anytime I'm trying to use a class, I'm going to have to call the main function. Which really, I don't have to. Common modules is going to be custom modules. This is going to be the JSON editor is going to be a class. So JSON editor is going to be a class JSON editor. What the hell? No! 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 What are you doing? No! We're going to say constructor, and it's going to take a file. This file is equal to file. Now what we want to do is make a main. Because now we're going to start evaluating if this file does not exist, I wanted to immediately create it. This is going to be for any Discord users that come in, it's going to have an empty object. And empty objects are not very costly. It just exists with 2 bytes. And having like 10,000 years, that's only like 20 kilobytes. So I'm not worried about this expensive process. Let's create that as a caption. For any incoming Discord users with no file, create an empty object file. Now, this does have properties. So I want to respect that. So I want to create a modify with a class. We're not going to have functions in our code, we're going to have classes. That modify takes a modifier in keep. Constructor. Modifier. And then keep. This modifier is keep. If this keep is undefined, this keep is equal to it's a long win because I cannot use default parameters for these input parameters for these classes. So the challenge is I am not allowed to use default parameters. I am not allowed to use objects if I can't avoid it. Any objects that are found in this code will be converted to a class later on. So modify is going to have a main file, because it's going to need to evaluate. And yes, it will modify that. So I'm going to call class modify is going to have to be on the outside. New modify. Yeah, it could be. I'm trying to wrestle with the class concept. I'm trying to treat all objects as if they're classes. And they're going to have fields. I'm going to avoid using static and super until I understand those concepts better. Actually, you know what? No, it wouldn't work in this case. So, X. No, let's put you back. Let's put you back. Let's figure you out. I need to have a way that JSON editor comes back so I could evaluate this file. Yeah, I know. The whole challenge is just class-only programming. There is, like, no object syntaxes, and I can only allow to use arrays. Indeed, that is the point. It's supposed to be bad. And I want to see if it functions. Like this, for example. You see how wonderfully clean, with no ifs or elses, just branchless programming with array indexes? Or how about logical operators and grouping operators? And this functions, by the way. The entire file functions. Alright, let's activate you. An invalid token was provided. Obviously, because I changed my token. Config. And then I'm going to have a JSON config file. That's going to be emptied because that token is null and void. And then new tab. Oh yeah, duplicate tab. There we go. I'm smart. And I'm going to put you with that. So all my tokens are hiding. Yes! At a glance, it's amazing. Until you see this. There is no constant or variable in this. It's just default parameters and an immediately invoked function. This was like my pride and joy. It's great. I had to make my own recursive function because I'm not allowed to use for loops or while loops. I could cheat and put a for loop and while loop in a function and do it that way, but that would defeat my purpose. So I decided to make my own recursive function. And even then, I have default parameters as my variables. And inside my commands... Oh, hang on a minute. Let's duplicate the tab. Let's go back to the home page. Yes, I have unsaved changes. I don't care. I want to go back to my home. I want to go back to my development. That's Alright, see this? Look at this beautiful code. Beautifully cursed. It's amazing. The function returns an object with a ternary if-else operator. It's amazing. There is no keywords that would describe how awful my programming is. So yeah, I am not allowed to do this anymore. I'm also not allowed to use const, let, or var in my class programming. Code maxing. Ah, it's a care. It's a care. How you doing, buddy? My goodness, it's been a while since I seen you. How you doing? Gosh, I get to see old faces. It's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I'm learning how to cursify my code, but I need to break it down into classes. And the only way I could declare, quote, variables is if I use fields or a constructor. So the only way I would ever call the only way I would call up like a for loop or anything is if I have a I got an idea. I'm gonna create a class. And that class is called each. No. Yes. So, constructor is going to take a value. It's going to take yes, I know what I'm doing. Index and callback. If I remember correctly, this index is equal to index. This callback is equal to callback. If I remember correctly, I could do something of each. I'm programming in C. Why? Hang on. Each is a function with a for loop inside. If this index equals 0. Oh. This dot index minus down to 0. Because I don't want it to break. Plus, I don't have to throw a this index minus. I put it in the same thing. So, this would suffice. Because my variable declaration is this index value on top. It's great. And then I will have this callback, which is going to have a class. New class item. And this item is going to have a count. The count is going to yeah, this is the part where I'm trying to figure out how do I throw each as a parent to an item of class. That means I would have to separate my class as an item and say count constructor, because it's going to inherit that count. This count is equal to count. And I want to throw that class item on the very top. So this is teaching me in one of two ways. I cannot deeply nest this code because classes hate that. They have to find something of relevance towards each other, so I gotta break it down. So now I can say new item. and it will not be a count anymore. It's going to hold that item callback. So this index is going to be my new count. So new each is going to have 10. Callback is going to have an index count, so a count. Console log, and then count. Oh, it needs a minus. Okay, I'm doing this all kinds of wrong. Count. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. You see, this is part of development and growth. I'm trying to learn how classes work, and I'm failing. Because if I were just to do... I would just ignore this outright. Bye-bye item. You're gone. If I just do this index, it would work. No, it takes a dedicated person to absolutely ruin the minds of people. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I didn't call the each method. Oh, I know what I'd done wrong, and now I do. There it is. There it is. I knew I did something wrong. And now I do. I got it fixed. Oh, beautiful. Because now, inside the count, it's treating this item class. This is great. This is absolutely great. This is exactly what I was looking for. So I'm happy. Let's define this a little bit better. So new count. Count is not a constructor. Cool. And there you go. So it's exactly as I thought. Perfect. So now I gotta convert these codes into something that's a bit more manageable. Config is gonna have a new Discord coin at some point in time. Dependencies is going to still be need to be broken down. Modules is going to take a okay. Let me see how well nested I can get down first, and then I start extracting. Actually, let's do that. Modify. So let's extract you for just a second. New. Modify. So in this main class, we want to evaluate the following. We need to take somehow the parental class of JSON editor. So we need to have a file. And that file is going to inherit this file. File will inherit from the JSON editor class. There we go. Now I got it. So now if I could say this file main, which will evaluate, creates an empty object if none are presented. And now I can evaluate. Now I can figure out what I need to do with my modify file. So, okay. This file write. Inside this file write, I need to accept the file name. The file name. What am I doing wrong here? Uh-oh. Okay. You see how much of a headache it is having to convert my cursed simplify code down to a class? Oh, wait! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! I think I got it. Okay. So if I go from just in reverse order, let's say... Okay. Let's back this up just a hair. We have a new file. Is created under the modifier class. So we need to create a class called new file. And we need to throw the word new right in front of it. Do I need to throw the word new in front of it? That's crazy. Because I need to... Huh. Because I have to edit the modifier before it evals. It's crazy. And this is why cursed programming languages should be handled with professionals. I am not a professional, but I'll give it a good college try. So we have a file. That file is a string. Oh, okay. So interaction is a dependency. Inherits dependencies from the dependencies file. Methods from the dependency file. Okay, yes. Okay. So this is the whole thing that it takes. I need to see how you're used. JSON editors pulled from interaction, because that was from a module. This editor is a file name. Oh, this hurts. This hurts so much. Oh, that's what modules is for. Modules is the interaction. JSON editor is the file name. Let's be clear about that. Name. File name. File name. Let's not get ourselves confused. So we have a file name. That's why stuff don't make sense. Okay. This file name is going to be inherited from the file name. And it takes the parameters of modifier and keep. I'm not allowed to throw parameters on anything outside of a constructor. And this is where things get difficult. Because unlike C, you can't really... If I want to mimic C, let's go to W3 Schools real quick. I'm going to mimic C# with this to make this absolutely cursed as possible. Oh my gosh. There goes my RAM. Wow. Wow. Alright. Alright. This hurts. Stop it. I want to know why this is there. Copy. Try myself. Oh, I broke. I want to say it's a method. Okay, so if I were to reflect the C programming, I can do that. My goodness, that would be hard for me to do. I think my V-bridge are disconnected. Connect the phone. Yes, phone is connected. Now, give me the object. Give me my object. Give me my connection. Yay, I could puppet my avatar again. I goofed. So I don't need to make this unnecessarily difficult at all. I should not be making myself this difficult. Alright, so let's go back. Just let's nuke this. We don't need to make ourselves this hard, this difficult. Alright. Okay. Let's make ourselves a rule of thumb. If there's an object, it can be a class. If it's a function, just a function only, that returns a value and not an object, let it be a function. Let it be that method. However, if it's a function that returns an object, let that be a class instead. So let's start over. Hi, my name is Devstream. So I need to make a class that returns these methods. JSON editor is now a class because it can hold objects. Whereas modify is now going to be a function, a method. And it's going to be this, right? This file, object assign, parse read, this read, and this file. Okay. User object is going to be a method because it's only going to return something. It's not going to have this. This sure as hell is not going to have a comma anymore. New file is going to be a new method now. And it's going to accept a parameter called modifier. That modifier is responsible to write on a file. Okay. Okay. I got it. And then what I'm going to do, new this. No. I'm going to return this. So I could chain on it. That's what I'm going to do. That way I can access other stuff. So let's get rid of this now. Main is there to initialize because it needs to evaluate. It needs to make sure that file has a way to create before I use this. So I need to create... I can't have default parameters, that's the problem. Okay. Let's make this simpler by making a class instead. So let's recreate modify real quick. Modify is going to have... No, it won't. It's going to have to stay as a method. Because it needs to keep that. And I can't. I can't for the life of me. Simplify this. I've cursified from my previous coding practice and just cramming everything in. So the question is this readable, chat? Is this readable? I doubt it is. Modify is not going to be there. It's going to have a main function. I think this is okay. But what do you think? Do I need to constrain this a little further, or is this acceptable for the challenge? So this, write file, and this mod. I can't do this modifier because that's a parameter, not a field. Also, file needs to be file name. JSON this read, JSON this file name. And we're going to return this. No. Yes. We'll keep it like this. For now, we're going to keep it like this. This is going to explain why we have a class modules that's going to be new. And inside we have a JSON editor. Let's exercise it, shall we? Copy. And we're going to toss it into the development world of this. Okay. So new modules. I should probably just stick with optional chaining in case this goes awry. So I need a JSON editor. That is a class. And it'll accept a file name. Okay. Let's just do this instead. Optional chaining for right now because I can't be asked. So everything is going to be undefined whenever I read this, but I don't care. Class constructor JSON cannot be invoked without new. Okay. weird. But that's to be expected, because it housed a lot. So what needs to happen is, could it be deconstructed? So var JSON editor from new. JSON editor is a class, so it does need to have a new in front of it. Aha. So I would have to break it apart at the field level in order to make it the class work. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. So we're gonna keep that there. So rule of thumb, I'm going to make a new file called readme. Markdown. The challenge is supposed to be classy. We want all the classes in this code. The rules are simple. One, classes should not have any of the following. Oh, wait, let's just break this down to bits. Let var or consts except in use of a for or while loop. 2, classes, when needing to declare a variable, quote variable, use fields or constructors. 3, if a class method returns an object, it needs to be a class instead. 4, if a class method returns anything but an object, leave it as a method. That should outline the simple cases. 5, no logical operators. 6, no default parameters. 'Not for use of variables or defining from undefined. So they have to have something. If not, we need to make the conditions inside that method or the main function. 7, class main functions should be used for evaluating only. Return the class itself for method access. Oh yeah, I was a little sleepy, Haven Quest. How you doing today? Yeah, you called me at the time I was about to end the stream, so you're fine. Alright. Now I kind of got the groundwork of what I need to do. I now understand what I need to do. So let's see. JSON editor can sit on the outside for right now. So X JSON editor. Z. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. See, this is a problem. Oh no. See how I'm nesting inside a class? This will not work. So I would have to exit this class. X. And throw JSON up here. Class modules is going to have to also be separated, so X. So new modules. I see what I did wrong here. Okay. Modules equals new modules. You see, this is why I hate classes. Oh no. Oh. Oh god. Oh goodness gracious. This is pain. So dependencies is a very, very bad idea. For a lot of reasons. Interaction is one thing. I can... Okay. I need to understand what super is. So let's go back to the for loop example. So class item constructor count, and that's going to be a super? I don't understand what I'm doing, but okay. Super keyword unexpected here. Yeah. Because I am taking it from this. If classes are all about this, and this, and this, and this, and this, the question then remains. Is that I need to bury classes with its own this. The music bot is in the background for ambiance, background noise. This way you're not hearing the AC fan going on in the background or something that kind of makes me feel like a poor VTuber. So, this is why the music bot is there. See, this is my challenge. I need to understand how I can nest classes. Because functions, I could do that religiously. I could throw functions within functions and call it a day with no consequence. They're like the best form of Lego pieces. Case in point. I don't have to worry about calling this or anything of the sorts. I could just literally call the function name from itself. So I have a lot to try to understand how I want to integrate my methods. And this is why it's cursed. It should never have gone this far. Yeah, I know it's possible. What would it even look like? Let's go back. I want to look at the recent example of JSON editor. Let's just say it's going to inherit from the parent. So when I have to use inherent keys. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be from parent. This parent is going to be parent. Then it's going to accept a file name as a field. Right now that's going to be just a string. It's going to hold it there. This file name is going to now be part of the field itself. So the parent is going to refer to the thing outside. So it means now I could do new class JSON editor. And on the end, I can service it with the word this. So now I can get all the properties that I need from my parent inside my constructor. So instead, I want to return new inherit keys. I want to inherit my keys from my parent. This way I can have the read, exist, and write as my constructor methods. Because it's taking from the interaction. In fact, I could cheese this further and just say, I'm just going to inherit everything. I'm going to inherit everything from my parent. But mainly all I needed was just... So, instead of this, I could just, class inherit keys. Let's just rename this to parent keys. Prototypes. constructor from parent. I'm going to for loop this with a const proto from parent in parent. So this proto is going to equal to parent proto. Now to cheese this, I don't have to know any of this. Instead, what I can do, for the sake and simplicity of this whole nonsense, is to return new parent prototype from interaction. It's the simplest way I could just extract all the properties I want at the cost of how heavy it could get. So now instead of fs, because this is going to be part of my interaction, and the interaction is going to be part of this. I don't know. This whole thing is giving me a headache, and it's okay. I'm learning, and this is the part of the process. Right now, we'll leave that as the last resort. We're going to have these back. Because we need these. In the class JSON editor, we're going to take this back. Take all of this back. We're going to exit that. We're going to clean you up. And we are going to put you as module exports up here. And then we're going to do this. We're going to inherit from this. New class. JSON editor. And we're going to steal everything from the parent. So all of its properties that is instantiated from here, I'm going to steal. This interaction, should I ever need it, it's going to be right here. So we are going to do return new parent prototype from parent. So now we have access to all the keys that we want from our parent, which is all of this. Because we had to borrow from this object from the class. We could try super, but I'm not sure how that's going to work. So for right now, I'm cheesing it with subincurse instead. We do know that this needs a file name. And that file name is going to be empty. File name must be defined before running the methods. Okay. So we have a modifier. This right belongs to the parent. So let's go for a proof of concept, okay? The reason why I did inherit keys is a class that takes all this. So we know this exists. Now, if I understand this correctly, so new inherit keys, And inside, we can make a class. New class. Donkey Kong. And then it takes from class. So hell, I don't have to invoke it with a function. Nice. So let's see. So we know about inherit keys now. So let's create a new class. Class modules. Now what I want to do is I want to steal the methods from each. So each, new each. And that each is going to have like something in there. So 10, I is I. Constructor parent. And then let's just self-invoke it with modules. So we're going to do return new inherit keys from parent. You see how now it takes inherent keys from the parent? Instead of each, now it's inherent keys. Because we're just stealing at this point, and we have an index we can call. Seeing this, all I gotta do now is do each. Whoop. Oh, we need to do the callback. What? Okay, so let's look at this, shall we? Prototype is object. Construct is inherent keys. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Scopes. Item each. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Okay. So apparently it was not as easy as I thought it'd be. Because each, if I remember correctly, contains a method. And for some reason... Let's define that as a new variable. See what it comes up with. Const holder. And that holder is going to have that. Holder has, let's see. Object keys of holder. Index and callback. But holder doesn't take each. So I did lose my functionality of my each function from my each. Unless I'm doing that all kinds of wrong. So new each is a 10. I is I. But if I do each as a method... Oh! Hang on, I'm doing this all kinds wrong. Console log I. And now I can do each. Each is no longer a function. No, it does. It does. I did this all kinds of wrong. I get it now. So yes, it still takes each. The prototype method from the each class. Makes sense. Okay, so inherit keys does work. It just renames it from the inside. Yeah, that file name has to be defined first. This right file name. It does recognize as, no. It doesn't recognize as any. Weird. Okay, let's try this again. So, let's create a DB for database. Inside modules, I want to do something. This is the first time I had to use a field as a reference. So, X paste. Then I want to say no. It's still gonna have to be that. If file name does not exist, assume the name this file name. This file name will now include the name of a JSON file. So what I want to do is I want to do a require first. I want to see if I could push out and scope it correctly. DB. Okay, so I could push out to DB. Now what I want to do instead is do this. And now I want to call a file. The user's perfect. This interaction user ID. So I want to go out for users as a folder. And then inside that users folder, that's going to be where all my Discord users are going to be. This is a challenge. So if a file is not indicated, if a file name is not indicated from like a moderator or something, but instead from a Discord user, we will define it for you. We will define your Discord user and add it to your file. We want to modify your own file without us having to modify it outside of it. So this is going to be good for a self-running command. It's great. File name will then fill, and then we'll be able to modify it, stuff like that. So this should be fine. Okay, I think I got it. Parent prototypes is going to exist. That's going to be fine. This is now going to be inherited from the parent object. Okay, this should be fine. Everything is fine. Modules is done. Embeds is next. Let's look at embeds, shall we? Then let's look at interaction create. Because I want to steal you. That is right. I am going to steal you. Copy. In the event interaction create. Copy that there for right now. And we're going to copy from ready. All copy. And events is going to have its, there we go. Ah! Ready. Yes. Here we go. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, cool. So, how do we convert this over into a classy language? This is pretty simple. I didn't have to do much of anything other than class ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this. Instead of execute, we're going to name this as main to keep the true style of the C language alive, as it were. Console log. Ready logged in as interaction user. And then now we can hoist this up. I have a feeling events is part of a module file. That module file is part of the dependencies. That belongs to Discord. See, this is a lot of rewriting around from curse programming language to another curse programming language. Interaction is going to hold everything named in the books. So modules is going to be modules with this interaction, because it's inheriting from that. Yes, that is correct. Embed's going to do the same thing. Modules is going to do the same thing. config API, math and console. You. No. No. Then config API. And then that's all it is. I don't need these anymore. Should I need a database? Database is going to equal to require database users. No. No, we're not. We're not going to play that game today. We'll just leave it at that, and then we're going to nuke these. Math and console can exist on their own. I'm not worried about it this time. So we're going to save that. Embeds is going to be next. But I need to figure out how to work with interaction create first. I see two classes to create. So I'm going to create a class reply. Class reply. And it's going to take two RO. Constructor is going to take two interactions. Ephemeral. And then embeds. This ephemeral embeds. And then we're going to say on the index of embeds, we need to focus on one specific embed at a time. So when we look at embeds here, we want to... There we go. So instead of having like the embed builder, I had to use an index array. So I need to find a way to return an array. Let's copy this over real quick while I have that file ready. Okay. So now instead of that, I can have a new reply. New reply. And it's going to be true, and then it's going to accept the interaction embed response. And now this can get yeeted. There we go. Now we're making things classy. What I don't understand is embeds. No, not embeds. Events. What is events? It comes from the dependency. what is embeds into dependency? Because I'm spreading all the methods from each. It has to come from Discord. Events comes from Discord. This dot events. Discord events. There we go. Now that satisfies my tickle brain mania. So we'll go ahead and come back to we'll come back to this later. Let's move this comment down to sort this code. And then we want to, if file name doesn't specify user, it would create a new file with author user. Okay, so now that makes sense. And you know what? I'm gonna do myself one better. Edit name. It's gonna be a new method. And that's gonna return this. Other name. This file name is going to create another name and return this. That's going to solve my predicament right there. Percent of the time it needs to be a class. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Enjoy some music while you're at it.
I am back. If I could, you know, sit my butt down and not have my avatar jump all over the place. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Alright. So what do I need to do now? Now that I got my reply, reply does what it needs to do. Embeds needs to get event. I need to get event from interaction. This dot interaction events client ready. Now I could throw that up there. Let's see what class interaction spawns. Class interaction create. Constructor interaction. This interaction is that exactly? Yes. This command time. Performance now. And now we're gonna do name. Main. Main is going to start X that out first and put that right here.
time when command is called. Go. There we go. Now we got this working. Check if user is a bot, then escape. If this tag user return, there we go. Check isn't a slash command. Then exit. Guard clauses are good. That way I'm not buried in nested conditioning. It's in milliseconds. Okay, cool. So I want to make sure that value is correct. Console log. Minus this command time in seconds. Thought it'd be funny in case a bot tries to use another bot command. Is like, yep, nope, you're booted. I just want to see how quick a bot just exits out of itself. Get command from cache.
command cache. And it won't be invoked, it will store this. It will store this. This interaction will reply with new reply. True from this command cache. Response. Reply. Response. And that's going to be an empty string. Catch, and that's going to be error. I'm just going to say new reply true. I'm going to say false because I want to know. No, true. There was an execute. So that makes a class cleanup there. Looks a little bit more linear though. Command cache will activate onto an embed. Which now let's take a look at this. Response comes from the input of the embed. So it has to take in like color, description. So let's see. Class embed. Embeds plural. This constructor interaction, and then we are going to embed with this is going to have an inside class. And that inside class is going to hold its response. Ugh. Response. And I am going to do exactly what I wanted to do. Constructor spread. Return new parent prototype spread. There we go. Now, where did I see that before? Parent prototype. I'd love to have you. Class embed parent prototype. Response is going to spread. And inside this class, the inside class, class embed singular. Because it's going to be the first constructor. Constructor response. Return new parental prototype response. And I'm going to say interaction. This interaction is basically going to be interaction. Because inside here, I gotta figure out how I want to respond. So, inside we have a title, and that title is going to be response. No, we're not. So title is going to be this interaction user tag. Description is going to be part of the response. Because we're spreading the response prototype. I want to know if it's going to scream at me because I'm using an interaction as a object. It's probably going to scream at me. We'll figure it out. Then we need a footer. New class footer. Oh, ew. I can see where this is going. Mass ceiling, performance, and interaction. So this does not need a response body, it just needs an interaction. with this interaction. It's the craziest thing I have to do. Huh. This has to be treated like class. It cannot return this. Unless. Let's go back to interaction create real quick. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Let's scratch all this out real quick. We know an embed is a property of the main. There we go. Now I don't have to worry about that. It's part of the first array now. So now I can pretend to ignore this, and now it becomes a response object. I'm smart. Embed does not exist anymore because embed is now on top. So now I can purely return a response. Let's see, I'm going to construct this. Class response. Constructor will take an interaction and then response. This interaction return new parent. Copy and paste you back. Prototypes, and that's going to steal from any response. So now I have the color, I will have the description, I would have everything. And that's going to belong here. Nah. This response is equal to this response now. If I wanted to avoid side effects and stuff like that, I need to keep these separate. Because now I can make a response function, return response. Return new parent properties. No. This response. I think. Because I need a spread. So right now the title is going to be no, let's create a new body. Class response is going to be just a general product, that constructor. We have a title. We have a response body. And we have a footer. This title equals to that title. This footer will equal to footer. Then return new parent prototype response. Cool. Cool. Awesome sauce. Now I can actually function with what body I need to make. So class embed will take two arguments: constructor, interaction, and response. This interaction, this response equals response. And then I need to have a main function. It knew I wanted a main function. That's simpler. So it will have to be this interaction. Because now it's going to return an embed, I believe. Module.exports. So now we're exporting a class. We're just calling it embed because it's going to be a local. It's going to take 2 arguments. We got a parameter and we got a response. So if we have an interaction create now, we have a command cache. Because now reply is supposed to be embeds. And that embed is singular. Now all that is just... Okay. Let's go back to index for once. Okay, so we need to separate all of this. I feel like I'm tying myself into knots. But I feel like this is a good end. Because one problem after another, I deserve some mental break time. And that's how I'm going to handle this today. Thank you guys for enduring my religious as well as Devstream today. I hope you guys enjoy the safe one. Stay safe, have fun, God bless, and rest well.